US Open 2025. Coco Gauff's only chance to dethrone Aryna Sabalenka as major threat looms. At the start of the year, Chris Evert had manifested a special feat for Coco Gauff, looking at her performances back then.
"I think Coco Gauff will end up number one," said Evert.
Gauff had just defeated Iga Swiatek en route to winning the WTA Finals and had also defeated her at the United Cup. Fast forward to the end of August, Aryna Sabalenka continues to hold the top spot while Gauff is ranked third in the WTA rankings after a series of underwhelming tournament exits. However, the Belarusian star has to defend 2,000 ranking points at the US Open, and Gauff will have a shot at toppling Sabalenka for the top spot under one condition. Despite being the defending champion and the top seed at the upcoming US Open, Sabalenka has been handed a nightmarish draw at the tournament. She could face former US Open finalist Leylah Fernandez as early as the third round. Subsequently, if she manages to come out unscathed, Sabalenka could go head-to-head against Clara Tauson in the next round. A meeting against Jasmine Paolini would potentially await Sabalenka in the quarters. According to the current WTA rankings, Gauff trails Sabalenka by almost 3,400 points. However, this gap could be overcome as Gauff doesn't have many points to defend on account of her fourth-round loss last year at the US Open. Thus, if Sabalenka falters in the fourth round and Gauff goes on to win the US Open, she would be crowned as the new world number one. This is the closest that Gauff has come to achieving the top spot on the WTA rankings chart. Thus, she would want to make the most out of this opportunity and come out all guns blazing at Flushing Meadows. However, it won't be a cakewalk for Coco Gauff despite the kind draw received at the tournament. She has Iga Swiatek in her half, and it could prove to be an exciting battle if the two clash in the coming days. Although Gauff is one of the hot favorites at the US Open, she received a harsh reality check from tennis insider Matt Roberts. Coco Gauff could lose in the early rounds of the US Open? Earlier this season, Coco Gauff won the French Open title but suffered a shocking first-round loss at the Wimbledon Championships. This could be pointed out to her service errors, which has become a major weakness in Gauff's game. Even tennis insider Matt Roberts feels that Gauff could be vulnerable in the early rounds if she continues making such blunders. During the recent episode of the Tennis Podcast, Roberts said, "Where you're not confident with your game and actually this sort of increased pressure can be a lot. And we saw the double faults a lot last year, didn't we, in that match against Emma Navarro, and she never really played her best tennis here last year. And so I think that could go either way, and I know that's probably not groundbreaking analysis, it's not helpful." However, Gauff is obviously aware of the problem considering she's just made a last-minute coaching change, firing Matt Daly to bring in biomechanist Gavin McMillan. And considering McMillan is the coach who improved Aryna Sabalenka's service problems in 2022, could this be the move that helps Gauff overcome her own service errors? We'll get a clearer picture when Coco Gauff faces Ajla Tomljanovic in the first round of the US Open. Tomljanovic is best known for her win over Serena Williams in the final match of her career at the US Open 3 years back. Can Gauff win the US Open title and achieve the world number one ranking? Let us know your views in the comments below. The US Open has always been the grand stage where American tennis stars write their greatest chapters. From Billie Jean King's fearless brilliance to Serena Williams' unmatched dominance, Flushing Meadows often feels less like a tournament and more like a stage for destiny. In 2025, that narrative finds itself once again at a crossroads, with Coco Gauff standing as the central figure of a generational clash against Aryna Sabalenka, the reigning queen of consistency and power. For Gauff, this US Open isn't just another Grand Slam. It's her only realistic window this season to knock Sabalenka from the pedestal she has so firmly claimed. The Belarusian powerhouse has held onto the No.1 ranking with a ruthless grip, bulldozing through tournaments with her thunderous ground strokes and relentless mentality. Yet at the US Open, cracks, however faint, could surface, and Gauff, with the crowd at her back, may finally have the chance to rewrite the story of women's tennis. The shadow of Sabalenka. To understand why this tournament is so pivotal for Gauff, one must first acknowledge the mountain she faces in Sabalenka. Since her breakthrough Grand Slam win in 2023, Sabalenka has only grown more dangerous. She has mastered the balance between brute force and tactical patience, evolving into the sort of opponent who punishes hesitation and preys on weakness. At 27, Sabalenka is at the peak of her physical and mental powers. Her serve, the cornerstone of her dominance, remains one of the most intimidating weapons on tour, while her ability to dictate rallies often leaves rivals scrambling for air. For Gauff, who has occasionally struggled with untimely double faults and lapses in concentration, Sabalenka represents the toughest of challenges, an opponent who does not blink. But dominance also breeds expectation, and expectation brings pressure. Sabalenka arrives at this year's US Open as the favorite, a role that is both empowering and perilous. The New York crowd, while respectful, loves an underdog, and in Coco Gauff they see not just a challenger but their own. Why the US Open matters more than any other slam. For Coco Gauff, no tournament carries the same weight as the US Open. Wimbledon may carry elegance and Roland Garros its clay-coated mystique, but Flushing Meadows is different. It's loud, chaotic, and deeply American. The energy in Arthur Ashe Stadium has lifted champions before, transforming matches into symphonies of belief and resilience. When Gauff lifted her first Grand Slam trophy here in 2023, the eruption of the crowd was more than celebration, it was coronation. She had become the new face of American tennis. Yet 2 years later, she finds herself in a familiar yet uncomfortable spot, close enough to touch greatness again, but blocked by the towering presence of Sabalenka. If Gauff can't make her move in New York, the opportunity may not come again soon. Sabalenka's form has been frightening, and with Iga Swiatek regaining her clay court invincibility and other young stars emerging, the window for Gauff to claim the throne grows narrower by the month. Gauff's evolution and the biomechanics gamble. The lead-up to this year's Open has been defined by change for Gauff. Her decision to part ways with longtime coach Matt Daly shocked many, but it signaled something crucial, a willingness to evolve. Bringing in a biomechanics specialist wasn't just a technical shift, it was a statement that she understands the fine margins separating her from the very top. Her forehand, once criticized as a liability, has tightened. Her footwork looks sharper, her serve more measured. But adjustments don't guarantee results. At Flushing Meadows, execution matters more than experimentation, and Gauff knows she has little margin for error if she is to stand toe-to-toe with Sabalenka. What she does have, however, is resilience. Time and again, Gauff has shown that she thrives when underestimated. Her ability to absorb pressure,